is difficult to be yourself because there are people who won't like what you are and like what you do.
Sometimes it is hard to have your opinion from peer pressure.
I don't really care what other people think, because if they're really my friends, they won't care.
You just gotta be yourself to be happy.
I just want to be myself most of the time. God made me this way, so I shouldn't follow somebody, I should be the leader.
I guess people can influence your decisions, your friends and stuff, people you hang around with, but if you hang around with a good group, then you're good.
Having your friend's opinion now and then is really important to keep your friends close so you know what's going on with them in your life. But being yourself is really the important person because you don't want to be a follower.
I go my own way and then they can follow me.
I'm myself 100% of the time. I don't take influence from anybody else.
Sometimes it's really hard because the culture we live in nowadays, it's hard to be yourself.
I try not to let other people decide what's best for me.
I don't need to make anybody else happy, and if they don't like me, then it doesn't matter to me. I just know that God loves me and He created me in His image.
When I was younger, it was probably easier to listen to what people say and try and change yourself for that. But as you get older, you kind of realize that that's so exhausting that you don't even want to try anymore.
I love being myself. I wouldn't change myself for the world. I think being myself is what makes me happy. Why act like somebody else, instead of being accepted for who you are. I'd rather be accepted for who I am than someone I'm not. So yeah, I'm proud of me. Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you need to have the skinniest body, the most expensive clothes, and the greatest number of Facebook friends just to fit in?
Sometimes it seems like this is what our culture would like us to believe.
It can be difficult to be true to ourselves in today's world. We often face a great amount of peer pressure to follow what the celebrities are doing or following the latest trend.
But God has created each one of us to be our best self, nothing less and nothing more.
When we follow Him, we can learn who we are and who we were meant to be.
Do not follow the leader. Be yourself. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tom.
And this is Real Faith TV.
Most of the teens on the street seem to understand the importance of being yourself and not giving in to peer pressure.
We'll talk with them more in a few minutes, as well as meet our studio guests.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest Danielle, who will share with us why she thinks it's more difficult today for young people to be themselves.
Let's hear from her now.
We're so influenced by what other people think and say about us. Just with the whole technology that we have today, it's so easy to go on Facebook and see what everybody else is doing or the clothes that everybody else is wearing. Even adults today are influenced, so I think it can be very difficult to be yourself. To me, it's been very difficult, especially in high school. It was really hard to keep a steady hold on myself and see who I really was, especially with the friends I was hanging out with. They weren't very intuitive to what I really wanted to do and what I really wanted to be like, and they almost forced me to be a different person that I didn't want to be. And the thing that I kept on telling myself over and over again is you want to be your own person, you don't want to be like them. Why do you keep on wanting to conform? So that was one of the big things that I think I did in high school. And even today, I continue to reevaluate myself, is this who I really want to be? Am I really becoming the person that I want to be? During your teenage years, you probably don't know who you are yet. You probably have a lot of questions about where you want to go in life, the careers you want to take, the places you want to be, or even be going to college, or the things you want to study. And with that, a lot of other people are in groups and they've almost sort of determined what the cool thing is to do, and you not knowing what you want to do think that, oh, maybe I should join this crowd, it'll make me look cool, even though you know deep down that that's not something you want to do. It'll become more of your mentality and your personality if you don't realize it from the get-go. I don't really like gossiping about other people. I don't really like drama as much either, and what I found is that when I'm around people that do it, I do it a lot more too, even though I know it's bad and it's on my conscience afterwards. I kind of feel guilty for doing it because you don't want other people talking behind your back either.
I think what you said about conformity is really true, especially in high school. It's really hard to sometimes be yourself when there's so many other influences.
I know, peer pressure is just so intense for everybody, especially people at the high school age.
Yeah.
Let's see how our studio guests weigh in on this topic.
Okay, they are Monique,
Drew, Sylvia,
Emily,
and Jacob. What are some of the things that set you apart from everyone else?
I think one thing that really sets me apart from everybody else is the kind of experiences that I've had and the things that I go through. What I've gone through is different than what somebody else has gone through, and that's helped shape me to be the person that I am today.
I've had a lot of childhood struggles, and it's taken me most of my life to try and get over them. And I feel like my childhood struggles and the pain that I've gone through set me apart from others.
I really like to bring people together. Like, I'm always the one to have people over my house and have parties and stuff like that, because not everybody's comfortable hosting and like bringing just different groups together because they're afraid they might not mesh. But I just love that, that I get to introduce people to new people, and I love to see the connections that are made.
I personally value church and my faith, and other people might not share the same values I do, which sets me apart from them.
Our secular culture tends to define being yourself as anything goes,
when its real meaning is rooted in using our God-given qualities to their fullest potential.
Being yourself doesn't make it okay to sin.
Songs like Born This Way can be good, but not if it makes you say, well, I yell at people a lot, and that's the way I am, so it's fine.
By accepting our imperfections as a part of life and acknowledging that they will never stop deserving the respect of others,
we can stay true to ourselves and, above all, God.
But doing this is never simple or convenient.
Next, we asked the teens on the street what they thought was easier, following the crowd or following their heart.
Let's check it out.
I think it's easier to follow someone else because they already have like set an example and they like have everything like mapped out.
I just think you should just stick with your own self and try to go to your goal.
It's easier to follow the path that I take myself because I get to achieve like whatever I want instead of having to do like what someone else wants to do.
Sometimes it'll feel like, oh, it's better to go with them because, I mean, they're close to me and I like them. But other times, like if they're doing something that I don't really like to do, I go a different way.
I'm pretty sure it's easier to follow others because that way you don't have to take responsibility.
Sometimes it's easier to go with the group because it's just what everyone else is doing, and it's easy to get caught up in that mindset. But I feel like it's always better to go with what you feel is right.
It's easier to follow a group at first, but once you just allow yourself, like you push yourself at first to just go with what you want, you'll realize that that was easier all along.
If there's anybody to follow, it's God, you know. I wouldn't say the people of the world, you know, or your friends or stuff. You know, you could be there for your friends, you could be by their side, but the only one that there is to follow is God, is Jesus.
Have you ever been put into a situation where you found it difficult to be yourself?
Well, I'm into the performing arts, and when I first went in there, I was all excited about doing shows, but when I saw that people weren't interested, it made me think, oh, hey, maybe I really shouldn't do this just because other people aren't doing it, and I really regret that now.
For me, it was kind of a similar situation because, you know, again, my middle school too was really athletic based, and being in theater, you're in the minority, and then not only does that make people not understand what you like and what you're going through, it can even make them bully you, and there are times when I was bullied. So it was really hard to kind of adapt to that environment because then I almost had to find a fine line between being myself and then kind of what they wanted. And looking back on it, you know, I should have just stuck with who I was the entire time. But, you know, at the moment it is hard. It is really difficult to have the clear and make the good choice when you're in the middle of that kind of situation.
I have a story too. I had a friend, and every time I hung out with them, it was a lot of fun at first, but then I realized that I wasn't being myself, and I wasn't comfortable being myself. And the things that they didn't like about me were the things that I liked the most. Like, I would feel a certain way when I was around them that when I hung out with my other friends, I felt good about, and I wanted to play up because that's who I am. I kind of broke off the relationship, but it made me realize who I am. And so even the bad relationships we have in life show us who we really are and who we're going to become almost.
I remember last year I had just entered an all-boy high school, and some of my classmates were a little ridiculous with how disrespectful they were sometimes. And it's kind of difficult to sort of go against the grain sort of when it comes to things like that.
I played soccer in middle school, and it was my first time doing it, and it was hard because everyone else on the team had a lot of experience, and I was like I was a first-year member. I always had to try harder than everyone else, so I felt really out of place, but I realized that if you just keep going and just be yourself, then people will have to accept you for who you are.
It's tough, but you have to decide that you value yourself and who you are truthfully than with that group or with that person.
Yeah, and it's not always disrespectful, but it's just finding out who you are, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who try to tell us that we're not good enough to be liked. And there are many kinds of pressures facing us today.
There's pressure to be fashionable, feeling like having the latest Jordans or Coach bag.
Sometimes there's pressure to gossip or make fun of others in order to make yourself feel better.
Many people think that waiting until marriage to have sex is weird.
Drinking and using drugs is more common than ever and almost accepted as a normal rite of passage.
Next, our spotlight guest Danielle talks about how her high school friends pressured her to drink at parties.
Let's check it out.
Well, definitely in high school, the table I was eating lunch with, let's just say they went out and did a lot of drugs and alcohol, and I got into that kind of crowd. I went to the parties and stuff, but I would never partake in stuff. I was one of the people sitting in the corner on the couch by myself with not the red Solo cup in my hand, with not the vodka in the cup, and of course, I just wanted to be the cool people taking the pictures and being one of them. And the thoughts that were going through my head and through my conscience were saying, just do it, it's just one time. And like, I didn't want to disappoint my friends, but at the other hand, I didn't want to disappoint my family. I even didn't want to disappoint God. People would just come up to you at these kinds of parties and stuff and just be like, here, have a drink. And I'd be like, no, I don't drink, I don't do any of that. They'd be like, why not? Like, just have it, it's fine. And I'd be like, no, I just don't feel up to it. And people would almost bully you into almost wanting to do it. But even some of my closest friends were like, here, just have a drink, it's fine. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, I don't understand why you have to be such a loser and not drink. And some of that stuff, like, it gets to you sometimes. And what I came to realize is that why am I going to these parties that they're going to when I'm not even having a good time? Like, it's really not a good situation to be in. So I realized that this really isn't me, so why should I even get involved in this kind of crowd? This past year, since I've been away at college, the friends that I had in high school, I'm not close with anymore. I barely ever see them. When I was home on breaks, I never even really chatted with them. I just found that they were doing the same exact thing, even more. They were out doing more drugs, more partying, more alcohol. It was hard because I did have memories with them, but at the same time, I knew that they weren't people I wanted to surround myself with.
As we get older, we will feel pressure from every direction.
Even our faith will be tested because of its various teachings and beliefs that counter mainstream culture.
People might ask you to make plans when you're supposed to go to Mass.
Or say bad things about the Catholic faith, and it's tempting to just stand by in silence.
But we are never alone when we call upon Christ to guide us to the truth.
Let's go back to Danielle, where she talks about how sometimes being yourself means feeling alone.
And how her independent spirit has helped her stay on track.
Sometimes you do feel alone and you feel like those are your opinions and your beliefs are the only ones that you hold true to yourself and nobody else believes that. But it's not true. Overall, I found that there are more people like me than not, and when I'm feeling down or anything, I just remember that there are other people out there like that, and you always have your support system like your family, friends, and of course God, and they'll always be there. I think one of the biggest qualities that I really like is that I'm very determined and I'm very independent, and that has definitely helped me a lot with being my own person. Of course, I listen to what other people have to say to me, but when things come down to it, I know what's best for me, so that's what I go on. I've known what I want to do for a really long time. I wanted to be a marine biologist and work with sharks and animals in the ocean. That's just something I've always wanted to do. I'm motivated towards that goal with everything that I do in school and in my personal life. I'm always working towards that goal, and I know I want to be a better person, and the only way to do that is to be my own kind of person and set sights and goals for myself to be there.
As Christians, we are called to break social conventions, to be countercultural.
Jesus was very clear when he told his disciples in the Gospel of John, chapter 15,
If the world hates you, realize that it hated me first.
If you belong to the world would love its own.
But because you do not belong to the world, and I have chosen you out of the world hates you.
Being not of this world means we're meant for something greater.
Something that's way better than a fleeting social status.
While we know we can always rely on God for guidance, we also rely on our family and friends for advice in difficult situations and circumstances.
Next, we asked the teens how they determine if someone's advice is best for them.
Let's hear what they had to say.
I think about, like, who's the one that's telling me this? Like, am I, like, really, like, their friend? Are they really my friend? And can I, like, if I can trust them, then yeah, I guess it's good advice.
But if you're saying I would never do that anyway, so what's the point of even trying? It's really not best if you should try it.
If it feels wrong, I wouldn't listen to them.
I try to think of what their intention is, like how if they're my mom or they're my friend, like they want what's best for me. So I'm more apt to listen to them. So because if they love me, then they want what's best for me.
does what they say apply to the way that I personally like live my life?
If you honestly trust the person, then you can take their advice. If you don't, then you don't.
Go with your gut and whether to follow it or not.
I just rely on the people around me that I love and trust.
I pray on it, really. I pray on it, just before I go to sleep. I just go on the corner of my bed, I get my rosary, I pray, and I ask God if it's right.
So how have your family and friends helped you to stay true to yourself?
My family knows me better than anybody, and there's been times where I've maybe questioned myself and, been unsure of an aspect of who I am, and they set me on track, and they're there to remind me, like, this is who you are. Being focused is really important, not just in faith, but in life in general. And I think that family and friends, to an extent, too, really know who you are, and they can help you out when you're stuck.
My family has loved me to such a high extent through my adoption, and whenever I felt like I was different from everyone, I felt like I was alone, they just told me, don't worry, you're not alone. There are people like you, and we love you for who you are, so don't change. And my friends also helped me because I feel that when you enter a new school and you're not sure what crowd you're going to fit into, you always go looking for that validation to feel accepted, when you shouldn't look for that validation to feel accepted, because you need to stay true to yourself.
My family helped me by, they just loved me for who I am. They accepted me for who I am. They didn't try to change me. Even if I have a family member who is an atheist, he or she accepts my faith in God, and she doesn't try to change it.
I think that my parents are on the journey with me of finding who I am, and that they don't say, oh, this isn't you, this is you. They are, just as I am, they're also discovering that with me, and it's just so comforting to know that I have people who will always stay with me through my life journey while I'm still discovering who I am.
When I was going into high school, I didn't know anybody, and a couple weeks into school, I realized that all the popular girls would be rude and obnoxious towards the teachers. And I was talking to my older brother about it, and I was like, if I was rude and obnoxious, maybe I would be cool too. And my brother was like, no, that's not you, and you're gonna find friends your own, that are just like you and who are also struggling finding friends. So my older brother is definitely someone that would help me out.
I totally agree that finding the right friends is so important to finding out who you are, because it's so easy to just give into peer pressure and try to find almost the friends that everyone else says are the best friends just because they have the most money or the most popular or something like that. But it's important to find the right friends, because if you find someone who actually accepts you for who you are and knows and doesn't try to change you or try to find friends that are better than you, then you know that they really accept you for who you are, and you know that you're on the right track to finding out who you are.
My family and friends are really important to me because I can always count on them for support and love, and I feel like it's important to have a shoulder to lean on, because there's times in life where you don't really know what's gonna happen, or times that you're feeling down, and it's good to know that people are there with you and you don't have to go through anything by yourself.
At the time of Jesus, there was a popular crowd, and Jesus didn't follow it.
He spent time with people who were on the outskirts, tax collectors, lepers, and sinners.
He stood up for a woman who was going to be stoned for adultery.
In the same way, we are called to show kindness to those who don't have a lot of friends, even if it gets us made fun of.
With Jesus as our true role model, we can find the courage to go against the flow and find the greatness God has in store for us.
Next, we ask the teens on the street how following Christ's example can put us on the right path.
And how prayer can bring us ever closer to God and His plan for our lives.
Basically, I think following Jesus' path really helps me with my life, and to not choose things that other people do.
And Jesus, he always tells you follow the good path. If something bad's going on, that you should tell someone, or what's right inside of you, so you should follow that.
I really try to think the way he would have thought when making decisions.
Jesus is the perfect role model for everyone.
He was very individual, he was very unique, and that's how I want to live my life.
Just because he was himself, so I want to be myself.
People doubted that he was the Son of God and that he was the Messiah, but he never let any other people's thoughts bring him down or anything.
Through prayer, you can really sort of talk to God and understand what he wants from you and how you should live your life, and it gives you a sense to like be alone with God and to understand who you are in that relationship.
I don't really pray much.
I don't really know right now how it helps me, but I'm finding my way as we keep going on.
Well, when I pray, I kind of give out all my emotions. So knowing what emotions I'm feeling then, or saying like, okay, I need to change this so that I can be a better person.
Prayers help me because, I mean, sometimes if I don't know what I'm going to do, I just pray and, you know, sometimes the answer will just pop into my head.
It really gives me a lot of like insight on myself.
It's just good for personal introspection, helps you just kind of like gain inner peace, and so you're quiet and you just listen to what you only think and not everyone else.
Prayer allows you to look into yourself on a deeper meaning, and it kind of just, I don't know, lets you discover what you truly believe in.
How has your faith given you confidence to be your true self?
Well, in times that I lack confidence, I always know that there is someone up there that's always looking out for me, and that gives me the extra boost of confidence that I need to get through whatever I need to get through.
My faith has helped me in my confidence because my friend's mom, she always give me this saying that God loves you for who you are. You are worth something, and you are a child of God. So don't ever change that.
For me, there's this picture that really kind of inspires me, and it's of Michael the Archangel in like his warrior's outfit, and he's literally like stomping on the face of the devil. It really inspires me because I'm reminded about how goodness can be so elevated above negativity.
Yeah, for me, my faith has really helped me to be confident in myself because you just have to remember that God made you the way you are. And like, if you try to be someone else or like fit into someone else's needs, then you're not just betraying yourself and those other people, but God too. I mean, the best way to really worship God is to just be yourself because that's who He created you to be.
Finally, Danielle talks to us about how we need to look to God in order to stay true to who we are.
And how Jesus is a model for her.
Just knowing that God made us, that He definitely made us all different and unique, so we want to be the person that He made us to be. We all have individual talents and skills that we need to be working towards. I think Jesus' life definitely is one of the main examples everybody should look to being yourself. He was basically gave his life up and he was crucified because he didn't follow the own crowd. If he was part of the priests back then that were condemning people for doing sins, then he just would have been like the others. But he said, no, I have a new teaching for you. I want you to love one another as like I would love you. And this was very controversial back then. So I think looking at Jesus as an example is like one of the best ways that you can stay on your path. That has helped me a lot because if I just think about what Jesus did and think about how he didn't follow the crowd, that's going to strengthen me because Jesus did it, and then I can realize that I can be my own person and do the things that He made me to do. Hey, this is what I believe, I'm a Catholic, you're part of a greater community, and this is who you belong to. That reveals something about my identity and who I want to be and who I am. So all the teachings have definitely shaped me and melded me into who I want to be.
Advice that I would give to someone is that if there is someone preventing you, like a friend, from being yourself, and showing what your true colors are, you should leave them behind because what they're doing is basically like shadowing your personality.
What you said kind of reminds me, I saw the movie Superman recently. I don't know how many of you guys have seen it, but there's a scene where Superman's talking with his father, and his father's saying, no, don't reveal who you are yet, like everyone's not ready. If they knew who you were, you would be put down, and it kind of reminded me like how Christ was put down. But he says, no, I need to be myself. And I think that sometimes we're afraid to be ourselves because we're not accepted, and we don't like rejection. I don't think anybody gets a warm, fuzzy feeling from rejection. But I think it's the risk we have to take if we truly want to be ourselves, and we have to know that there are people out there who will accept us. And it might take a while to find. I mean, I know a lot of my friends are in college, and they're still struggling to find people who accept who they really are. But I think that if you really want it and you really actively go out there and try to find people, you definitely will.
There are people out there who will find you and they will be your friend and they won't ask you to change.
Just remember that if anything like makes you feel bad about yourself, like if you go home after like talking to your friends and realize that like what they told you to do doesn't make you feel good about yourself, then you just really need to break that off, because it's not like you should have to like pay the price of feeling bad about yourself to like be able to have friends or be considered popular. Just be who you are. It's hard, but it's better in the long run.
Compromising who you are for the sake of popularity is never worth it.
The only person we really need to be concerned about following is Jesus.
In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, Jesus said, "For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it.
But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it."
We probably won't be called to actually lay down our lives.
But we are called to let go of things that strain our relationship with God.
If we keep holding on to our desire to fit in or to be liked, we will never actually be happy.
But if we let those things die, the good qualities that God has given us can live.
Don't be afraid to be open to people with different values and perspectives, showing them respect as you would want them to respect you.
Seek support from your youth groups or other people you trust.
How can you show others that God wants you to be yourself?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or share your thoughts with us on Twitter.
And we'll leave you today with this thought.
As we read in the Catechism, the desire for God is written in the human heart.
Because man is created by God and for God.
So don't follow the leaders of the world, but follow the leader over the heavens and the earth.
Follow Jesus Christ, the King of all kings, the Savior of the world.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.